Thanks for letting me be up here on stage today. We have a very interesting evening ahead for you. My name is Stephanie Strickland, formerly of KGW TV here in town. Used to do a show called Live at 7, which really focused on technology and did a lot of work with Rick and some of the other folks here in this room to talk about startups, incubators, and all of the great things that are sort of the culmination of what you're about to see today. Now I work for a technology review company called Digital Trends, and it's just an honor to be dipping my toes back in the tech and the startup roots that I just love so much. So I want to start off today by talking a little bit about the 1776 Challenge Cup. So this is in partnership with Revolution Hall, and it's more than just sort of your typical challenge. This is an opportunity for startups to come together and to build momentum, bringing these hopefully world-changing ideas to a stage, moving on up, solving problems that really affect a number of people across the globe in some of these cases. Now, 1776 started the Challenge Cup 4 years ago to bring together the most promising as well as highly scalable startups to solve these complex challenges across a lot of different platforms. They're interested in emerging technologies. They're interested in breaking down the barriers in regulated industries, all of those things. Well, Portland got on board with this 2 years ago. So we're now in the second year hosting the 1776 Challenge Cup right here. If you're out there and you are tweeting or Instagramming or using any one of your social media platforms to share, we would appreciate it if you used our hashtag so that we can then cull these together at the end of the night and hopefully share them and get people talking about them. The hashtag is 1776 Challenge, and because we love PDX, kick a PDX on that too, if you don't mind. It's up to you. Right now, I want to go ahead and thank the sponsors because, as is often the case with events like these, they don't come together without the wonderful financial support of some folks who step in and make it all happen. So to our media partners, Built Oregon, thank you very much. TechFest Northwest. We also have Central Office. We have the PSU Center for Entrepreneurship. We have Blaze Streaming Media bringing us the live stream, by the way, today. So thank you very much, Blaze Streaming Media, for that. Also, Development Now, and if you're not familiar with Development Now, it's a creative digital development partner, so it'll help brands, agencies, startups get through all the different platforms, mobile, web, emerging tech solutions that work for them, as well as StackPath. So StackPath is the intelligent web services platform for security, speed, and scale. That sounds very fancy. None of this, of course, would be possible without the tremendous support, the premier sponsorship of Prosper Portland. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, why haven't I heard of Prosper Portland? Formerly known as the Portland Development Commission, the PDC. So it's recently they went through a name change. And sometimes you think of name changes and maybe you think, well, what was wrong with the old name? Well, we would actually like to bring up some folks to talk about that. This new identity is designed to better reflect what Prosper Portland wants to do here in the community. So coming up on stage is Kimberly Branham, the Executive Director of Prosper Portland, as well as Maurice Henderson, Ted Wheeler's Chief of Staff. Hi, thank you. Who would like to speak first?
I think I get that. Thank you so much. Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. I was just mentioning, prior to becoming the Mayor's Chief of Staff several years ago, I was actually the CAO for the Chief Technology Office in DC, and one of the investments we actually made probably 5 years ago or 6 years ago now is in 1776. So it's really exciting for me to be able to see this project and this idea that Donna and Evan had come into fruition. It's also great to know that Tyrone Poole, last year's winner, is back there and will be one of the judges for tonight's competition. So my job this evening is to be really brief, and introduce Kimberly, who's doing fantastic work with Prosper Portland in supporting the tech and innovative industries here in the city and in the region. The mayor is, of course, sorry that he could not be here. He's actually taking his first vacation in 6 months of being in office, which we know he greatly deserves. But what he wanted me to convey to you all was his strong belief and support in what technology can do for accessibility, for mobility, for equalizing the playing field for people, because just like education, technology can be one of those change agent and catalytic sort of platforms for people. Right now, Portland is in a place of transition. We've seen incredible growth over the last several years, and that growth is going to continue. Many of you are probably, like me, fairly new to Portland. We're coming here for opportunities that Portland has provided. But with that growth have come some challenges, whether it's the affordable housing challenge or the resultant homeless situation, whether it's the educational attainment goals of children of color, whether it's healthcare outcomes and other things that plague not just Portland, but plague our society in general. And the mayor is really committed to looking for innovative solutions, and part of that is partnerships with the entrepreneurs and thought leaders and people like yourselves who are out there trying to help us address and hopefully solve some of these most intractable problems. So I really want to congratulate 1776 for putting this challenge out there, for asking people what is possible, because at the end of the day, we are only limited by our creativity and our imagination. Last year, I had the privilege of leading the city's Smart City Challenge grant application for the USDOT challenge, and really that was about how do you reimagine what a city can look like. If you could invest millions of dollars in creating a new transportation infrastructure that really dealt with some of the equity challenges of the city of Portland in our case, what would that look like? And that process, which was originally 87 or 88 cities, got down to 7, and then Columbus actually won. And one of the things that came out of that, most importantly, was really this collaboration and this idea about what was possible, what things could we test and pilot and do, both in Portland and some of the other cities around the country. So in my mind, that's a lot of what this challenge is really about. It's about providing the applications and thought leadership that'll help cities address some of those intractable problems that I talked about before. The transition. So was mentioned before, PDC, Portland Development Commission, which has been such an integral part of our community for so many years in investing in neighborhoods, investing in this community and making so much happen in the city. And over the last several months, Kimberly has taken on the helm of now what is Prosper Portland, and we are so incredibly proud to have her as a member of our team, the person who is leading the charge on making sure that investments in your dreams are possible. So Kimberly, I will turn that over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Maurice. It's really great to be here and great to have the support of the mayor and his staff. Would also like to thank PI and 1776 for bringing us together. So as you heard at Prosper Portland, our mission is to build a more equitable economy here in Portland. The civic challenge that we are focused on addressing are some of the widening inequities within our economy. Unfortunately, as Maurice mentioned, with the growth, we haven't seen a reduction of inequity. If anything, we've seen an expansion. So one of the things that we talk about is within wealth and assets, we've seen that while the average white household has $142,000 in assets that can be passed down through business or asset ownership, home ownership, the average African-American family has about $11,000, and the average Latino family has about $13,700. Yeah. So we're committed to addressing it, and we have programs and partnerships to do that. And I wanted to just talk about 3 ways that we would love to partner with you to try to build a more equitable Portland. So the first is that we have a fantastic network of small business technical assistance partnerships that includes folks like PI and TI and the Hispanic Chamber. If you are a business or you know a business, if you're a business owner or know a business owner who's at an inflection point, who needs capital, who needs a new network, who's looking to renegotiate their lease, we have somebody who can help you, so come find us. The second is that we recently invested in a new inclusive fund, the Inclusive Startup Fund, which is managed by Elevate Capital. If you are an investor just looking to make an investment in a small startup business or startup fund, please let us know. We support diverse founders this way. And there's another fund called the Accelerate Fund, which is supporting women. And so we really encourage you to use your resources. Or if you are a diverse founder or a female entrepreneur, please let us know and we can connect you. And then the third way that we just want to talk about partnership is that We are really committed to holding ourselves accountable to changing the way that we do business. We've been working with local tech firms to help them increase their diversity, and we encourage you as you're starting new businesses and as you are thinking about these challenges and thinking about what's possible, to think about who's at the table, to think about who's making the decisions, and so we look forward to partnering with you on that work. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit more about 1776. Without the organization and the leadership that this particular startup accelerator brings to the United States to recognize startups involved in solving some of the more difficult problems we're facing, we wouldn't be here. So to tell us more about 1776, I'd like to bring up to the stage, please, Cameron Bard. Come on up.
Thanks so much. Let's hear it again for Rick, Pi, and all of our partners tonight. As mentioned, my name is Cameron Bard. I work with 1776. We're a global innovation network. We empower startup ecosystems all around the world. We bring together entrepreneurs, institutions, and governments to solve big, meaty, complex problems in complex industries like energy, healthcare, and education. This year is our 4th year hosting Challenge Cup, and it sounds like our 2nd or 3rd year, Rick, in 2nd year, okay, in Portland. We are very grateful to the support and leadership from our partner and investment firm, Revolution. This year, we are hosting events like this in 70 cities all around the world, from Accra, Ghana, to Pittsburgh, PA, and of course to little old Portland, Oregon. And I can say little because I'm from Seattle, and we have a very embarrassing inferiority complex when it comes to how much cooler Portland is than us. This morning, I was on a call with folks from a state government in India, and just a couple years ago, they lost their largest city due to redistricting. And imagine Oregon losing Portland to Washington. I would like to imagine that, but imagine that challenge. And how do you replace that economic engine and powerhouse? And their answer, the state government, is you. It's startups. They view startups as more than investment vehicles. They view you as research and discovery vehicles, an opportunity to educate and employ entire communities. And that's really why we launched Challenge Cup. We wanted to connect the global startup ecosystem and remind you that at the end of the day, all the challenges and the headaches aside, you represent opportunity, a fresh start, innovation, and progress. And for that, we are so thankful to be here, and I cannot wait to see what you guys are working on, and of course, best of luck. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. He touched on a couple of things that really stand out in my mind, in particular as I was sitting backstage and just engaging in dialogue with the judges who are out here today. I think I learned more in about 45 minutes of sitting with them when it comes to starting your own business and making a go of it and the decisions that you have to make to decide to move forward than I ever would reading a textbook or, heaven forbid, watching YouTube videos about it. So I'm very, very excited to introduce these guests to you on the stage because they're very, very talented in their own right, doing each individual and unique thing. So I'll go ahead and bring out first Yesenia Gallardo, who is the founder and co-founder of Startup PDX Challenge alum Poda Foods. These are the cricket folks. She raised crickets for protein powder. In addition to that, yeah, that's a big applause, very familiar. They won the Sabin Sustainable Venture Prize at Yale and the Tech Fest Northwest Pitch Fest Northwest competition. Now coming out is Genevieve Lamarchal. She is the co-founder of Accelerate Fund, a new fund designed to support women founders, as well as a venture associate for Founders Pad, which is an early stage startup accelerator based out of Bend, Oregon. But I believe you said you look for people from Portland to Seattle and everywhere in between.
All over the country.
All over the country. Tyrone Poole, come on out, please. The founder of the Startup PDX Challenge alum, No App Fee. This man is working long, long hours to do some very, very cool things. His startup company simplifies the rental agreements and basically gets people in touch with housing in a very short amount of time. Well, guess what? Everyone everywhere has different rules and regulations about how that happens. So he has done a phenomenal job of erasing some of those barriers and hurdles to getting access to housing. And by the way, he advanced from the 1776 Challenge Cup Portland event to the global finals where he was named the People's Choice for for the worldwide competition. So, our esteemed panelists, we are ready for that portion of the evening where you are going to come up and pitch your heart outs. Now, I will leave this microphone here. You can just feel free to adjust it up and down as you need be. You have 2 minutes, and then at that point, judges, you'll have the opportunity to ask some questions for a minute, maybe 2, just depending. And then when you are finished, we will have you exit the stage and we will bring up the next presenter. Come on up. Let's hear it for startup pitch number 1. You're tall. I'll just raise this right up for you.
First of all, I want to say thank you for everyone coming out. I know my colleagues, so I appreciate everyone here coming out for tonight. All right, so 2 minutes, let's go. What are the 2 main barriers for people purchasing homes today? House price, down payment. While you're saving for your down payment, the house prices increase, which means you need to save more. So while you're saving more, house prices increase. It's a vicious cycle. American Leaseback will be introducing commercial leasebacks into the residential market to allow our clients to be able to occupy their future homes today. I'll repeat that. Rent-to-own homes, but with a twist. Our clients will be able to find their home on the MLS. Once they find the home, American Leaseback will purchase the home for them while simultaneously establishing a long-term lease-to-own contract with the client. Terms and conditions of the client will be determined directly from the sale price of the house, which will be 7% annually, 5% going into operations and profit, 2% will go into an escrow account to be exclusively used for down payment to purchase the house. The end goal will always be for the client to purchase the house back from us, say 3, 5, 7 years. 3 main benefits for our client. First, the house price will not increase while they're living in the house. If the market appreciates, does not matter. Today's purchase price will be tomorrow's sale price. 2, majority of money on a mortgage during the first years go into interest and not the principal. On a standard 30-year loan, after 5 years, you've only paid off 8% of the house. With American Leaseback, being that you're putting away 2% into an escrow account for down payment, after 5 years, you will have saved 10% of the house. And if you compare the lease versus a mortgage, you'll also be saving money. Standard mortgage for, say, a $300,000 house, 5% interest rate, 30-year mortgage with PMIs, pretty typical for a first-time home buyer. Your mortgage is going to be about $1,844. Whereas with American Leaseback, when you have a $300,000 house, your mortgage is $1,750 per month, a savings of $94 per month. So recap, house price does not go up, you actually pay off more front on the house, and you save money on a monthly basis. American Leaseback, occupy your future home today. Thank you.
Okay, tell me what the benefit is for American Leaseback. You don't make money on monthly rent payments because you are obviously charging, it sounds like, less than the actual mortgage payment. You don't make any value appreciation on the house over years because you sell it to them for exactly what it was 5 years ago. So how do you get paid?
So the model is set up where the 5% goes in the profit and operations. So 5% will be broken out. 2% would go into the operations and profit, and 3% would be going directly into our investors for their profit. So it's a modest 3% ROI for our investors. That's where the profit comes into the company, on the 5% side.
How are you going to build your customers' trust? I feel like it's something that you're going to have to get them to want to believe in the company and be able to hand over, the monthly payments to you, and then. Like if, this is not something that's backed by a bank or...
The model that I modeled off of was a very good friend of mine is in the property management business. She has already established everything else with the billing, so they've got an online billing process which will go directly into their funds, which then will get distributed into a bank. With the escrow account, each individual person will have to have their own account to be set aside. I think I've answered your question. Is that... Okay.
So tell me about the competition and how you specifically are much more attractive than a leaseback agreement that somebody may make individually.
Competition, the majority of the competition for the rent-to-own markets are people who have kind of given up on their houses. The houses really aren't that great. So there is no market out there, or no competitor out there where you can actually pick the house that you want off the MLS. It's whatever they happen to have in stock. And that's just what's available. It could be beat up, not really be taken care of. The landlord's just looking to wash his hands of it, but trying to make a little profit off it. And some of it seems kind of sketchy too. that they may be trying to get additional because you pay the normal rent plus on top of that the down payment on it, so it seems kind of dicey. The other competitors would be the mortgage industry, which they're not really interested in our kind of market because the majority of the mortgage industries, if you do not have a sufficient down payment, either A, you won't get the loan at all, or your interest rates will be so ballooned that it would be undesirable for people actually to want to take the mortgage. It'll price them out of the market.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Get that adjusted right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremiah Church. I'm with C3 Backflow, and I'm going to talk to you about an industry that's important to the safety of our drinking water with a problem. My friends and family are here. They're very familiar with the backflow industry because I won't shut up about it. For the rest of you, backflow is any time unsafe or contaminated water can flow back into the drinking water system. Backflow, complicated. Pools, sprinklers, fire systems, medical equipment, car washes, and a whole slew of other systems require backflow prevention devices to ensure that this doesn't happen. It's bad. Nobody wants that stuff. The Clean Water Act of the 70s started this whole process, and it requires the 150,000 or so public utilities in the US to ensure that these backflow prevention devices are doing their job. They test them every year. These utilities and the professionals that are out in the field doing this work, plumbers, irrigation, facilities maintenance companies, etc., do this work and communicate with each other primarily via paper. It's time-consuming, it's inefficient, and it's error-prone. As an example, the city of Portland, one of the most forward-thinking cities in the country, still requires their backflow test report forms to be mailed into them via paper, where they're processed and immediately shredded. With our system, we're not only saving the paperwork, we're getting rid of that potential for human error in that process through automation, and we're saving a whole lot of time with that whole process for all involved. With recent tragedies like Flint, Michigan, and the backflow incident in Corpus Christi, we believe now is the time to solve this $3 billion a year problem in this industry. Our product has been very well received by the market. Our customers love it and have performed more than 100,000 tests in the field today with that through our mobile SaaS solution. We hope that you can join us in our mission to ensure that everyone has clean, safe drinking water. Thank you.
You may have mentioned this, but so do you ensure that they have clean drinking water, or do you just report what is actually happening?
We ensure the process of validating that there's no cross-contamination coming back into the system is done through automation and software. We don't have a physical device or out doing the work ourselves. Our customers do that work in the field, and our solution streamlines that process for the testers in the field and the water utilities in the back office.
So your product is the communication between the testers and the city, basically?
Correct. And back to the regulatory compliance, the State of Oregon Health Department or the EPA.
Okay, so your customer is the government?
The government or the utilities, or sorry, the testers, which may be a private company as well, yes.
So you're not, are you certifying that the water is clean, or are your customers
Our customers
certifying
are.
the water? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a call from my dad, and he was complaining about surveying. He was saying that it was time-consuming, meticulous, and there was a ton of error that he had to mitigate. And he was doing all this in the cold and the rain. I got off the phone with him, and I thought to myself, why is he doing this? And has been doing this for the last 30 years. And I thought to myself, this is Command Sense. And that's when it was born. We created a sensor system that gathers key data for the safety, stability, and longevity of buildings. And we get them right in the hands of the surveyors. We are even working with current construction technology, and we're also looking to building monitoring in the future. We charge an upfront fee for the hardware and training, but also a monthly subscription for the data points that come through our system. And then we look at the whole entire construction market, which is over $1 trillion in the US. But we're really targeting the $7 billion market that we're going to disrupt. And that includes hardware providers that create laser-guided systems that are currently used in the industry, and software providers that do construction management technology. But they're both on the heavy construction industry because of their price point and because they're very difficult to pick up and use. That's why we're a fraction of the price, and we're automating a lot of the process so that anybody can pick up and use our system. Now we can get all that information in your hands, and then when we talk to construction companies or surveying firms, we can scale globally because we land and expand in their organization. That's why we already have connections in Asia, Africa, and South America. And we're currently raising funds to disrupt the construction and housing industry. Let me know if you're on board with us. Thanks.
Right now, do you have a working prototype?
Yes, I do. It's on, we're on 4 sites, but it's on 1 site right now as a permanent option right now.
Awesome. So your product is actually being used right now to raise buildings.
Used right now in Northwest Portland.
All right.
Do you, is your prototype also in Asia and Africa and those other places?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But we're trying to convince them, but it's a big process for them to understand this because they want to see it work in America, actually. They all want to understand how it works in America before they bring it anywhere else.
So it sounds like it's a high barrier to entry industry.
Not exactly. People always think that construction is the hardest. Everybody wants to, they don't want to do anything different. But once they see this, because they've been working hard on this surveying, they're in the hot sun working on this or in the cold rain doing all this work, and they're doing math, like paper and pencil math. And we're like, why are you doing that? The computer can do that work. So that's why we're doing that. So.
Okay. Just to clarify, are these sensors that you install in a building, and can they be installed by a construction company, or do you send out people to do the installation? And then are you focusing, so 2 questions also, are you focusing on sort of the small, mid-scale buildings at the moment and then looking for larger projects, or can your prototype handle sort of larger projects?
So so what we do is we want everybody to do it themselves. We're not trying to be the installers. Especially in the early stage, we want it to be easy. That's why our focus is user friendliness. And we allow them to usually pick it up, use it, install it themselves. And it's not a permanent installation at this point. Our second generation will be a permanent installation, and then we can do building monitoring. And then we make sure that this what was your second question again?
About the size of the building.
Oh yeah, we have smaller buildings, but we also most of our buildings are pretty big. So we usually use the average square footage, but it's we have 5-story buildings, we have 12-story buildings, we have 18-story buildings, and we're looking to do even bigger. But in Portland, they're not building much bigger than that right now, so that's our limitation at the point. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I am Ashley Lamb Sinclair. I'm the Kentucky Teacher of the Year and the CEO and founder of Curio Learning. I want you to take just a second and think about your favorite teacher of all time. I'm willing to bet that they're not your favorite teacher because they taught from worksheets or because they did hand-me-down curriculum from on high. They're probably your favorite teacher because they personalized learning in a way that was relevant and engaging for you, or they created cool, fun, innovative lessons that inspired you. And they were probably a little bit of a rebel. I know because I didn't become Kentucky Teacher of the Year by playing by the rules. So this is the tragedy of education, is that we have rock star teachers just like yours around the country who have amazing ideas and strategies, but no place to go. They don't get the opportunity to share them widely with other teachers. And the even bigger tragedy is that $56 billion a year is spent annually by schools and districts on professional development that's mostly ineffective in an attempt to create more rock star teachers without ever capitalizing on the talent that's in the room. That's where Curio comes in. Curio, which was actually created at 1776 in Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, is an app for teachers to discover new ideas and strategies for the classroom, curate them in an easy, visual way, and collaborate on ideas with other teachers around the world. Curio allows teachers we are a teacher-driven company, and our focus is to create innovative, creative rebels. Our goal is over the next 3 years to find 200,000 of the most innovative teachers around the country, put them on the platform, and in so doing, we would have the potential to gain $80 million in revenue, which we would use to hire, train, and elevate and empower other teachers around the country so that we can put education back in the hands of the people who know it best, the teachers. So that's why we want the opportunity to present in New York at 1776 so that we can showcase what we've done to connect other teachers so that they can learn to teach like a rebel. Thank you.
So do you sell to the teachers or do you sell to the school districts or how does that work?
So we actually have a freemium model. So it's free for teachers up to a certain point, and then at that point, teachers can purchase it for $8 a month, or schools and districts have the opportunity to purchase it as well, which will give them analytics and certain data in terms of teacher use and teacher behavior that they don't already have. So it's a freemium model, so it's kind of based on our focus is we are directly selling to teachers. So our market strategy is teacher driven, similar to other like GoNoodle, which is another ed tech that has a teacher driven market. So that is our main focus. Yeah.
Can you explain to me how 200 teachers equals $80 million?
200,000 teachers.
Oh, 200,000.
200,000. I'm sorry. Okay. I was trying to go fast. Yeah, no, 200,000 teachers. And we actually only need 30% of those to be paid users. And that equals $86 million in revenue over the next 3 years because it is such a big industry and there's a lot of wasted money currently in that area.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around exactly what the product does. And you did a really good job explaining it, but is it products that the teachers are using that they kind of get to communicate with each other about?
So the average teacher is using digital content. In fact, 81% of U.S. teachers prefer digital content over traditional textbooks. So that means that I'm going online, I'm finding cool stuff on Facebook, Twitter, and then I'm putting it in my Dropbox or my Google, and then I'm having a conversation in the hallway with another teacher about it. What Curio does is it takes that teacher behavior that's already there, what teachers are already doing, and it puts it in one online space so that teachers can do it there.
Like GitHub for teachers?
Yes, like Dribbble. Actually, my co-founder is a designer, so if you're familiar with Dribbble, he says it's very much a clear comparison.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you talk a little bit more? I think you maybe mentioned one, but another, like competitors in this field?
Right, so we don't have any direct competitors. What our main competitor is current teacher behavior, which is like DIY hacking their way. So using, for example, one example might be like Teachers Pay Teachers, which is a place where I would go to maybe find a worksheet on Sunday night that I could teach Monday morning, but it doesn't necessarily help teachers develop and really collaborate around ideas. So our main competitor is current teacher behavior, but in a way that's actually not competition because Curio allows Twitter, Facebook, all those things to sync. So you're finding that stuff online and you're able to put it in your Curio and then do the things that you're already doing in real time, but you're able to do it in one space. Okay, thanks.
Hello, my name is Chris Poe, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Habu Health. Habu Health is a cannabis research group that is dedicated to answering what we feel is the most important and valuable question facing the cannabis industry today, which is, what cannabis product is best for my needs? Now, there's only one way to solve that question with accuracy, and that is through pharmacology. Pharmacology is the science behind all medicine. Now, how do we bring pharmacology into the cannabis experience? Well, we do that with data. We need data. We need data from humans. We need data from plants. We need to put that all together and pass it through scientific rigor and look at the results and see what happens. Now, how are we going to collect this data? Well, we are currently in development of an app. Now, the app is going to essentially be a data collection tool, and we are very excited to say that we are launching this pilot program with our app and our local dispensary partner, Pharma, on August 1st. Now, we are uniquely qualified to take out this venture because our co-founder and chief scientific officer, Dr. Adi Poe, is a rising star in the cannabis industry. She is a pharmacologist and neuroscientist that has studied cannabis for over 12 years now. She is a globally recognized speaker, and we are very excited to announce that just today, she has signed on to be the chief scientific consultant for Weedmaps, one of the industry and global leading cannabis brands. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Dr. Poe and her research, because it has received almost $2 million in federal funding to date. Now, that is $2 million of federal funding going towards research of a plant that is still federally illegal. So we feel very strongly that if the government can take that much interest in her research, the interest of the cannabis industry from Habu Health is going to be very high and very valuable. So thank you very much.
So, cannabis being illegal, except for in a couple states, what would be your strategy to grow this business and expand, aside from wait for other states to come online with rec for cannabis?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, our main focus is on the medicinal parts of cannabis, which is legal in most states in the country. Starting off here in Portland gives us the unique opportunity to not only just have to focus on that on the medical part, but also we have recreational use here. So we can start building our data set right here and continue to scale into other states as those laws pass.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what kind of data and then how you're going to be collecting it?
Absolutely. So essentially what we have is deep plant characteristics on the cannabis plant. So currently, Oregon, being as progressive as it is, really only tests for about 3 active ingredients, where actively there's over 200 active ingredients in cannabis. So through our great partnership with Pharma, who is a local dispensary, they actually do these deep plant characteristic testing, looking at the full spectrum of what cannabis contains. So we have that data, and then what we need is humans. We need humans to be able to go through a scientific survey, essentially, kind of like a trial, where we essentially would collect that data and then make correlations, putting those, all right, what does chronic pain and what active ingredients in cannabis, and how do we correlate those two together? And that's what that data set will produce.
So this is more like formal trials, not citizen science, or it is just your average app user taking their own data and inputting it like a Yelp review of their symptoms?
No,
Okay.
so one of our competitors does currently do something like that, kind of like Yelp, but we're not looking to go down that route. This is a private experience. This is something that So Dr. Poe, her background is in pharmacology, so she knows how to get drugs passed through the FDA. So we're essentially taking that knowledge, but just making it a little bit more casual, because human trials are very long and very expensive, and we can actually do it since we have that access to to the customer here in Oregon. We can actually do it right now without any type of regulation.
So it's a platform. Anybody
Yes.
can log in
Yes.
and get reliable information about what certain strains of cannabis how they will affect them physiologically and
Absolutely. As we continue to grow, we will put in artificial intelligence and machine learning, so that way it will become a personalized recommendation engine, so that you could use the app, and as you continue to use it more, it's going to learn from you and tell you exactly what you should be doing, because your physiological compound is going to be different than mine. I could have a mutation that's completely my own, and it might be separate from yours. So we do need to look at that and have that personalized part of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Holly, CEO of Medora, where we are disrupting the pharmaceutical industry by treating vaginal dryness without hormones. 32 million women have vaginal dryness, but you've never heard of it. No one's talking about it. And that's because there are no safe and effective solutions out there in the market today. I bet you have heard of erectile dysfunction. One pill changed an industry and opened a dialogue, creating a $4 billion industry. Medora wants to do the same thing for women and vaginal dryness. Vaginal dryness is a condition that happens after menopause. The vaginal tissue becomes thin and dry. This leads to constant discomfort for women and pain with intercourse. The best solutions out there really haven't changed in the last 50 years, and that's hormone treatment. The problem is millions of women can't use hormones because of the long-term risks. So these women are forced to subsist with over-the-counter lubricants. Women hate these. They don't work well enough. They're messy and gross. But despite all that, women are still spending $1.6 billion on products in this category. So to recap, huge, huge market. Women are motivated to spend, but there's nothing good out there. And that's where Medora comes in. We're developing a game-changing women's health solution that women can use at home to treat their vaginal dryness themselves. Our patent-pending technology was developed at Stanford, and we've tested it in those expensive clinical trials, and we've already had great results. The results are, in fact, as good as the hormones, but without the side effects. We have a business model that's a razor blade model where we sell disposable gel pads on a monthly basis that's at a price point that's equal to what women are already spending out of pocket. I started this company out of Stanford in the Biodesign Fellowship Program, and today our team has more than 45 years of medtech experience. We're super excited to create a women's health revolution, and we hope that you'll join us.
So clinical trials, how long will it take before you can actually have a product in the market?
That's a great question. So we've already done 3 trials. We have 1 big trial ahead of us and 1 small trial. So that's 2 years out. But the good news is we already started talking to the FDA, and they're helping us design that study so we know exactly what data they want to see to get it approved.
Can you tell me what is the average price point for women?
Yeah, so women are spending, if they're using hormones, they're spending $50 to $150 a month out of pocket. Lubricants, it's smaller than that, of course, but we also validated our price point in an internal survey that we did of more than 1,500 women.
Does insurance pick you up?
That's a great question. So the FDA keeps us from being on the market for 2 years. Getting reimbursement is even harder. Usually insurers want to see 3 to 5 years of data in the wild before they'll fund something. So it's on our map. It's not critical, however, for our business because women are already paying out of pocket for these hormones like I described.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm the founder of Mogul. Traffic sucks. My 15-minute commute turns into 45 minutes during rush hour. There's some people in the UK, they found a really cool fix to this, though. They were able to put up digital signs, and just by changing the speed limit, they took a 38-minute commute down to 11 minutes. That's 70% better. 70! We'd all gladly go for that, right? The problem is, it's really expensive. To do the same in Portland on all the freeways, it would cost over $1 billion. Not scalable. Why spend all that money on digital signs anyways when all the new vehicles are coming out with digital displays on the dashboard and 3/4 of drivers are using their cell phones? That's what we're going to do. Our connected traffic management platform enables city traffic engineers to communicate right to your dashboard so that they don't need these overhead digital signs. And what's more is they can also manage navigation so that they can stop apps like Google and Waze from clogging up residential roads and high pedestrian areas with commuter traffic. Imagine cutting your travel times in half just by using the technology that's already in front of you. There's this too. Right now, cities need a system integrator to connect things like their message signs, active road sensors, and cameras. We're like a system integrator, but for connected and autonomous vehicles. So here's the big question. Do you see this not happening in the future? Short of some Walking Dead scenario, can you see 10 years from now where Portland is not a connected smart city, where cars aren't communicating with the city and working together? This is going to happen, right? That's the future as we see it. We'd love for you to be part of it. Help us and make traffic move again. Thank you.
So is this a connected CarPlay or is this an app for your phone?
This is a connected CarPlay.
Okay.
So we're the platform that actually enables it to happen. So we're working with tier ones, partnerships in the tier one industry for automakers. We're also making an API available for mobile devices so that we can do mobile first and short circuit that 5-year development phase that automotive companies have.
So people have to use their phone while they drive?
Well, it's more like integration into an app they're already using, for example, Google Maps or Waze, or if you're using a driver assistance app. So they can give you more contextual information. So like tonight, you don't try to go across Morrison Bridge and get stuck in traffic for 20 minutes on the way here.
All right, I don't have any.
I have another question. So if in Washington, they recently passed a thing that like you cannot use your cell phone at all while you drive. You can't even touch it. Like if you are holding it at a stoplight or something and a police officer sees you, they can give you a ticket. And so how would you be able to address sort of the safety of drivers if it integrates to the mobile app and using some of those apps and devices
Right,
that
so-
they're using but maybe can't
Yes.
use?
So we leave the actual app development up to the app developers. That's not our specialty. Our long-term solution is actually integrating with the vehicle, so it's on your physical dashboard and it's part of the car.
Oh, okay.
Short of that, there's also an opportunity to do an aftermarket part that sits on your dashboard. And it turns out there's only 1.5 million registered vehicles in Oregon. If you were to spend $50 for every vehicle in Oregon to have that aftermarket part on their car, it would be about $75 million. That's cheaper than the $1.1 billion transportation plan they just announced back in May. And you get active traffic management on every road, rather than just on I-5 and 205.
So it's hardware.
We're doing the platform. Hardware might be a component of that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi. Okay. Freelancing is the future. By 2020, the full-time workforce will be made up of 50% freelancers, which is the biggest shift in the American workforce since the Industrial Revolution. In the creative sector, we feel this really deeply. A lot of our traditional jobs are disappearing, and it's becoming almost a requirement to work as a freelancer. But unfortunately, it can be pretty rough out there. Big online marketplaces treat us like disposable commodities when we really do our best work as collaborators and business partners. Creative staffers and recruiters often limit communication and can charge huge commission fees, which creates strained working relationships, but it also has greater implications for the creative economy. It means that even as freelancing is becoming the norm for creative professionals, it's harder for us to earn a living wage, it's harder to pay for health insurance or save for retirement. There's less recourse if our clients fail to pay us, and less access to important legal protection from unfair work practices. So at Scopic, we want to help change all of that. Through an intuitive online platform, we start by helping hirers find local freelancers based on relevant information that can help them quickly but reliably assess whether a freelancer will be qualified for the job and passionate about working together. We let them connect directly through the site to form a professional relationship based on mutual respect. We charge hirers a flat monthly rate with no commission fee, which can save them thousands of dollars a month, and freelancers can make 100% of their rate. We also help empower freelancers to run successful, legitimate businesses by providing professional development materials and connecting them to local service providers who are specifically qualified to work with them. At Scopic, we're making work better for freelancers and those who hire them, and you can join us at getscopic.com. 5 seconds to go. Yeah.
So can you talk about why you are different or how you're different from some of the competitors out there and why someone would want to use your platform rather than, like a switchboard or something?
Yeah, definitely. So the main things that are out there right now are big online marketplaces like Upwork or 99 Designs for the creative industry specifically. And all of those help you find someone who will get a job done for really quick and really cheap. And most freelancers don't really bother to join those because you're not going to make a living. And then there are creative staffers, and they can charge 30 to 100% on top of a freelancer's rate. And they're in control of the communication. So, I mean, that's bad. We have a directory that's based on relevant information, and it's local freelancers. So everyone is working in the same industry, so you're not competing with people overseas who can charge way less than you. We've done a lot of research about what hirers really want to see when they look for freelancers. So we have information about people's interests and their availability so that it's not just about whether they can get the job done for really cheap. And then the professional development aspect also, we really want to make the business of freelancing a legitimate business.
How do you vet the freelancers?
So we don't vet them. It's more about making sure that you're finding the exact right person. So we're not keeping anyone from joining the site, but we're helping you find exactly who you're looking for.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Do I get to like see their
Yeah.
work or
Yeah,
how
so
is
we
it
have a
that?
portfolio. There are different types of creatives. We have different types of profiles that show. So a designer would have like a visual portfolio. There are reliable, structured reviews from people that they've worked with in the past. That type of thing.
How much does it cost to join?
So for freelancers, it's free to join. And for hirers, it will start at $250 a month, and we'll be adding different pricing tiers.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hector Dominguez, and I'm CTO for Smart Vineyards. So in the coming decades, we are going to be 9 billion people living on this planet. Can you imagine that everybody, obviously, we need to satisfy our needs for food, for water. Food production is going to be a big challenge. So that's what we want in the Smart Vineyards, to help to manage to grow things using really the optimal amount of water. How do we do that? So we have sensor networks that are in the field, off the grid, with solar panels, sending data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, constantly. With that information, our customers can actually see clearly what are the water needs that they have for the coming days, weeks, depending on how they're managing. So this technology is actually helping them not only to save water, but also to produce good quality product, particularly for vineyards. So a producer, they want to, at the end of the season, they want to keep the quality of that grape at the highest so they can produce a good quality wine. So that can actually make a big difference between a $35 wine and $150 wines. Anyway, so we are actually trying this technology in other crops, blueberries, apples, hops, and our vision for the future is that really we can apply this technology for all commodity crops, use the right amount of water. People are talking not only about food security, but also nutrition security, meaning that the crops that we are getting from the field, they have to be really good quality. So, thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the revenue model? Are you like charging for the system and then like a monthly data fee, or how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. We have hardware. We direct sell that hardware to our customers, so they own the hardware. And we also have a data plan, actually. So they pay us year by year, and actually we have customers in California, Oregon, and Eastern Oregon mostly, and Washington State. So about 30 sites right now that they pay. Mm-hmm. And we're planning to actually offer some premium software with all the data analytics that we are getting from already 3 years of data in some of those fields.
So, do you have, is there any others in existing system that you have to overcome or beat out in order to win a new customer?
Yeah, well, this is the culture of growing things. You know, there is the way of growing things as usual. So moving mostly older growers to new technologies takes some time and trust from them. So that's what we are working really hard on that. There is a number of competitors also that they are offering some similar services. Some of those services they are slow or risky. Some of them use radioactive materials to understand how much water is in the soil. You need licenses that are expensive, and there is always people going to the field. So we are actually delivering just a data stream, and with a very solid sensor network also, and sensors.
So is data your business model, aside from selling data directly back to your customers?
Yes, the core business is definitely data. That's what we see it in the past. Hardware is going to change. We see it that it's going to change. It's even going to become a commodity. So it's going to become really, really cheap in the coming future. Mm-hmm. But we need to understand hardware as well, because that's a key piece for giving support in the field and what's happening, which we also get from our devices.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Every single one of these ventures should be funded. So I'm Cameron, I work with Sphera.world, and the business of social change is broken. Every year, hundreds of millions of people power tens of millions of organisations and spend trillions of dollars seeking to solve our most pressing social, economic, environmental and political problems. Yet, at a meeting that I facilitated at the Rockefeller Foundation last month, 98% of the representatives from 40 funds, foundations, networks and ventures indicated that they were less than 50% convinced that we were actually going to solve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. So why? Why is that? Well, we contend that it's fundamentally because we are incentivising the wrong behaviours. Funders have a tendency to reward novelty over utility. They reward financial returns over social impact, and essentially they incentivise the very behaviours that got us into this mess in the first place. While every single one of these ventures should unquestionably be funded, the biggest challenge that we face today is that we only have two types of problems, solvable ones and unsolvable ones. And many of these solvable ones have already been solved, and yet those solutions are not universally available. What we need is more intelligent infrastructure. We need a platform that rewards and incentivises people to share, discover and reuse known solutions to known problems so that we can get on with the far more pressing business of solving the problems we currently do not know how to solve. And that's what Sphera was created to be. So the analogue for us is that Sphera is like a GitHub for social change. And we're not just accelerating the pace of change, we're actually making change smarter.
Can you give us an example use case for how an organization would use Sphera for their benefit?
Sorry, could you ask that again?
A use case. Can you give us a quick example use case?
Yeah, so 100 Resilient Cities is a Rockefeller Foundation funded initiative. They're currently, so 100 RC is a collection of resilient city offices from around the world in 100 cities that have been identified by the Rockefeller Foundation. They're using the Sphera platform to share resilient city solutions with each other. So it actually lets them discover and share those types of solutions between those resilient city offices.
So is this for like NGOs and nonprofits, or is this something that's for funders or both?
It's for everyone. I mean, that's a simple thing to say, but you know, when you think about like any of the private ventures that are here, they have information that is proprietary and they have information that is non-proprietary. The non-proprietary information might be market research, or it could be some type of data, even if that's headless data. So obviously, non-profits and funds and foundations are deeply incentivised to engage with this kind of behaviour because it's core to their mission. But we also see that for-profit ventures as well can be incentivised similarly.
So how are you going to develop like, how are you going to make this searchable or usable if there's all this information being gathered? How will you be able to sift through it as a user and figure out what solution works for you?
This is one of the challenges of a 2-minute pitch because there are no fast food solutions to fast food problems, right? So we're using the Sustainable Development Goals as the core organising principle. They're being adopted by more and more organisations around the world, so it just makes sense. A practitioner in the field is able to search by problem. So, if they're, for instance, seeking to find a solution to drought-resistant cropping in East Africa, that fits within one of those containers for the Sustainable Development Goals, and they can facet and filter from there. That's it.
All right, thank
All
you.
done. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Redd. I'm the founder of Thermchem Corporation. I can't use pictures, so I'm going to ask you over here to visualize the following things: cows, pigs, a brewery, a distillery, your home, your favorite restaurant, a hospital, a forest, your favorite foods, a vineyard, the ethanol that's in your gasoline, a pulp and paper mill. Over here, a clean-burning solid fuel substitute for coal, reclaimed phosphorus and nitrogen for fertilizer, activated carbon for cleaning air and water, biogas for renewable natural gas, biochemicals to replace products that are made from petroleum, and carbon to be used for energy for storage batteries in phones and other devices. So what's the one thing that brings these two sides together? And the only thing is our technology. Everything over here produces a waste or a residue that our technology can convert into one or more of these valuable products. So what's the technology? It's hydrothermal carbonization, which is a high-pressure pressure cooker that uses solely water, heat, and pressure. It's in commercial use in Europe and Asia, but not yet in the US. We have the exclusive license to 2 US patents and to a Japanese system. And we recently were awarded $200,000 from the US Department of Energy to use our technology to create biochemicals. We have a number of commercial opportunities, and we are prepared to grow our team and to go commercial. Thank you.
How much money would it take for you to get to where you're speaking about going commercial?
So I'd like to reserve that question for our discussions with the investors, because it really depends on the scope that the investors want to undertake.
Okay.
But we have the technology ready to bring in.
Tell me a little bit more about maybe like the first year or two and what kind of customers you would see yourself working with for those.
So there's 2 categories of customers. We have the customers that pay us to process their feedstocks, and the customers for the products that we produce from the technology. So our initial feedstock customers are in the agricultural sector, wastewater treatment plants, the food processing sector, and those are the principal ones. On the product side, we have buyers who are very interested in the solid fuel as a coal replacement because they can blend it with coal or use it in lieu of coal to bring down their carbon footprint. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. Hi, I'm Isaac. I'm with Tosny. We are a computer security company, and it's wonderful to hear about all of these innovative products that people are bringing to market today. And what so many of them have in common is the collection and processing and storage of data. A lot of this data is extremely sensitive or private for individuals or for organizations. One of the biggest barriers to innovation today is computer security problems. Software hacks get the private data of hundreds of millions of users every year. And if anything is holding back innovation, it's that security tax of building in security from the ground up. We are building a software security kit for computer programmers because the vast majority of hacks happen because of software mistakes. Computer programmers make mistakes. As much as I, as a computer programmer, like to blame the end user for not choosing a good password or something, really most problems are software problems. So we created InnoVault, a software SDK that a computer programmer can build into their app, into their IoT device, into their web page. And it secures and controls data as soon as it's produced. It encrypts it and transfers it and stores it encrypted so that when it's accessed, read, processed, or analyzed, it can be decrypted at that point. So it's encrypted when it's created and only decrypted when it needs to be processed and used. That's end-to-end encryption, security from the ground up, built into the software. We're a spin-off of a larger security company called Galwa, and we have significant funding from the federal government from agencies working in computer security and privacy space. Thank you.
So encryption isn't a new thing. So what is it that makes your encryption different than all the other encryption tools out there?
Encryption tools are actually extremely hard for end users, but even harder for software developers. The vast majority of software developers actually do not understand how to use encryption. So our software kit makes encryption almost completely transparent from even the software developer's perspective. So they read and write data. As far as their data handling is concerned, it just looks like normal reading and writing of data. It's actually a JSON web store. But behind the scenes, we handle keys, we handle the encryption, and we handle the security. So developers don't need to learn how to do crypto right.
So is it a subscription model? Is that how your company
That's
works?
right, yeah. So we charge by the amount of storage being used. So the number of records being stored or the number of keys being used, things like that. We have a free tier so that developers can integrate, can practice, can make sure this is the software that they really need. And in fact, we have a beta test out there right now people can use, and we're launching publicly later this month.
So where in the stack actually do you live? Do you live in the application layer? Do you go into the hardware layer in terms of like the servers, the switches, the firewalls? Do you exist there at all, or are you just in the application layer?
That's a great question. It's actually in the application layer, which is what makes it end-to-end secure. So one application encrypting, another application decrypting, and everything in between doesn't get access to it. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I don't envy the judges having to now go and deliberate and try to figure out who they're going to award, but we'll take 10 minutes, so feel free to stretch your legs, and then I'll bring them back out on the stage where they will announce the winner. All right, everyone, if you could please grab your seats. I'm going to bring the judges out right now, and then we will go ahead and announce who has won this particular competition. Come on out, grab a seat, guys. Also joined by Rick Tarozzi. Rick, come join me on stage. Woo! Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to be a part of this. This was really, really incredible.
Yeah, happy to do it. Thank you all for coming. Thanks to all the startups who pitched. Hopefully people are wandering their way back in here. Thank you very much to everyone who sponsored this event and made it possible. We couldn't have done this without you. Everybody knows I love being on stage, so I'm going to hand this microphone back to Stephanie as soon as I possibly can. But after much deliberation, I think we're ready to announce our winner. And if no one is better suited to announce our winner than our previous winner from Portland, Tyrone Poole.
Being a judge is completely different than being the one who's pitching. I actually think that even though they're both challenging, being a pitcher is probably less stressful than being a judge, which is kind of strange. All right, so we want everybody to know that we saw some awesome pitches tonight. And unlike last year where there was like 70 pitches, this was much easier than that, but it still was challenging. Our decision didn't come down to, it wasn't based off of what we thought was the most awesome product and things like that. Not saying our winner didn't have an awesome product. We are just saying that we had to base it on the 1776 competition, which is a worldwide competition. So the product had to be something that had worldwide, in order to be successful and have the best shot at representing Portland, coming back with a winner, you had to have a product that could do really well worldwide. So that counted out quite a few local, like United States type business models. So without further ado, I will announce that the winner of this year's also has been kicking ass all over Portland in this last year, and she is on a roll, which kind of gave a little bit about who it is. But the winner is Medora. Now, before I hand her the mic, I would also like to announce that we were going back and forth between Medora and we thought it was definitely had to give a mention to Command Sense. That was the runner-up of this competition. Yeah. It was completely based on Washington, D.C. 1776 competition and how they would value the difference between Command Sense and Medora, which is a product that can be used from women across the entire world. So much difference. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks to the judges, and thank you guys for putting this on. Whoa. That's awesome. Thank you. There's a lot of luck in this because you were People's Choice, I think, last year. That's awesome. So, wow, thank you. I think, as you said, like we've been kind of on a roll, and I think that's a credit to the community and all the support we've gotten. We couldn't do what we're doing today without, all the help from people, giving us feedback on our product to helping us connect with investors, and it's been a great home to be here in Portland. I don't really know what else to say, but thank you.
Congrats. Holly, I'd also like to give you, from our sponsors, Central Office, you get a year free of co-working from them as well. So you're welcome. All right, folks, that's it. That's the end of the show. The bars are open, so if you'd like to stay around and chat with people and talk about these awesome solutions, please grab all of the startups. They did a great job pitching. Make sure you congratulate them on the products they're building. Thank you. Good night.